Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier. Today I'm going to be taking a look at some new worker darts that were sent to me by Out of Darts, which might explain why they're always out of darts. What we have here are the newest darts from Worker. We have red with green tips, red with purple tips, as opposed to the old red with orange tips. And they've got some different properties. So as far as I can tell, the difference is in the density of the heads themselves. The green ones are much denser, they are less squishy, and I suspect that's where the additional weight is coming from. The purple ones are very squishy, and as a result, they are lighter. And that is compared again to the orange ones, which are somewhere in between. And we're going to take a look at the weights, get some idea of what we're looking at here. So let's zero this out. We'll first take a look at some orange ones. So they're coming in at 98, 1, this is in grams, 97, 1, 1, 1, 99, 1, 98, 1. So they're going to average on 10 of them 1.1. So very consistent, coming in at essentially 1 gram for those ones. We're now going to take a look at the purple-headed ones, and they come in a little bit less. 8.9, 8.7, 8.5, 8.5, 8.6, 8.8, 8.6, 8.4, 8.8, 8.7. For an average, if we take 10, they are averaging 8.5. So they are 0.15 grams lighter than the orange ones. Let's take a look at the green-tipped ones. 1.17, 1.2, 1.17, 1.19, 1.18, 1.15, 1.15, 1.14, 1.14, 1.14, for an average of 1.17, more or less. So they are about 0.15 heavier. So we've got 0.15 lighter, 0.15 heavier. How much of a difference is that going to make in practice? Well, that is what we're going to try to find out. Hypothetically, the lighter ones should travel faster, but the heavier ones should travel farther because they will have more inertia. We'll see if that's actually what we get in the field. We're going to be testing it with my seagull because they just sent me the seagull and I want to plink with it more, so we're gonna to the chronograph. Right, we're here at the chronograph. We're going to see if there's any difference in FPS, any noticeable difference. We are going to start with the lightest darts, the purple-headed darts, and see what kind of numbers they get. 177, 151, 179, 179, 174, 179, 177, 178, 174, 173. So we had one go a little bit low and the rest were all in the 170s. We had several 179. So let's try the medium weight ones, the orange-headed ones. See what they get. 156, 163, 154, 165, 150, 161, 158, 159, 164, 157. So, yep, we are hitting lower. We're in the right around 160s probably. Well, I'll do the math and actually show what the averages are, but definitely seems to be going a little bit slower. Try the heavy darts. See what they're getting. 135, 151, 154, 131, 149, 120, 149, 157, 140, 144. So again, a little bit lower. Not a lot, but we're 30 FPS, almost 40 FPS lower, in some cases even more than that, than the purple ones, the lightest ones we're getting. So it is in fact significant. Let's, I'm going to take it to the range. I doubt we're going to be able to really ascertain anything from that, but mostly I want to plink with my new toy, so I'm gonna. Right, we're here on the range. We're going to do some plinking. Now, when I said that I doubted that I would be able to see a significant difference, that's largely because of the nature of the blaster, the nature of Nerf in general, my skills as a marksman. The whole setup here is not exactly conducive to a really scientific test of the difference in these darts. However, if I can actually see a noticeable difference with all of this very imprecise setup, that tells me that it is in fact a significant difference. So we will see what we see, and you can make your judgments from there. I'm gonna start with the orange tips as the baseline, and see if I can then see a significant difference with the other one. So we're gonna take a couple of shots with this. We'll switch to the other one, switch back. We'll see what we can see. So I'm gonna aim for the 50. And I can hit the 50 fairly well. It flies nice and straight. There isn't too much, actually there was less drop than I was expecting. Let's try the super light for a couple of shots. Well, I can hit the target better, but that's probably just because I've figured out where the middle is. Let's try the heavy ones and see if they have a significant drop. This is a lower powered blaster. It's not, it wasn't hitting over 200. The heavier darts would probably work better in a higher powered blaster, but we gonna see. Okay. Let's, I'm gonna put up some bottles and see if I can hit anything with them. Now we have bottles. Starting again with the orange tips. Not too bad. Let's try some purple tips. Nice, nice. Definitely a little bit zippier. Gets to the targets faster. So, deviations in your aim have less time to take effect, I imagine. We'll try the heavy darts. Well, I can still hit stuff. Let's go for long range. Can I hit the 75? We'll switch back to the middle darts. Oh! Double loaded. Trying. Alright, 75. Yep, I can reach the 75. Okay. Let's try the lighter darts. How do they do at this range? You can't, I can barely hear the pings. I know you can't hear the pings when a train's going by. But I got a couple. We're gonna try the heavy darts. Ooh. Oh. Interesting. So I couldn't tell any major difference at this range between the heavy and the light. We'll try them again. Let's try the lights again at 75. Rounds complete. Again, they're definitely faster, but we know that. We fixed them. I think the heavier ones do have a little more drop. Let's try the regular ones again. Oh, they definitely had more drop than that one did. Come on, one more. Ah! Yeah. Interesting. I'll clean up this mess and we can go talk about it. Right, so what are my thoughts? Well, we were definitely able to see a noticeable difference both in the weight and in the FPS. That's just objectively the case. The purple darts are lighter and they travel faster. The green darts are heavier and they travel slower. That should surprise nobody. With the setup I had, I wasn't really able to ascertain which one's going to fire farther, especially not from a higher powered blaster. I imagine if you had something that was hitting up over 300, you might see a more significant difference. The difference in speed might be more pronounced, but then the difference in range might also be more pronounced. I could also be entirely wrong, and the heavy ones won't actually travel farther. They will just always travel shorter and slower. You would need a much more precise setup and a lot more testing than I've done here to really determine the difference. But even with this setup, I could tell the difference on the range. The purple ones traveled faster. They seem to be a little bit more accurate, especially at the closer ranges, because a deviation in my aim doesn't have time to affect as much because it gets there so much faster. At least that's my theory. That could be completely bogus. Who knows? But there are some thoughts. One thing that I also definitely noticed is that the new darts seem to be more consistent in length. In my random bin older Gen 3 worker darts, there is some significant difference in length. And that's kind of the extremes. They can be anywhere up to, like, I don't know, a 1/16th, maybe an 1/8 of an inch difference between some of them. And in many blasters, that's not going to make any difference. In a full-size Talon mag, that doesn't really matter. In a Nightingale mag, that difference is more pronounced because they are smaller magazines, and that can make a difference. There also might be some cylinders where that dart is now long enough that it sticks out the front of the cylinder, depending on the design of the blaster. These seem to be, I have seen no deviation in dart length in any of them. So the quality control has been greatly improved from the previous generation to this generation. The other thing, as I mentioned, is the difference in the weight is coming from the density of the head. So the green heads are much more rigid, not to the point of being like FVJs or even Vauberys. They still have squish. They just don't have as much squish as the purple. And then the orange ones are kind of in the middle somewhere. Some groups might decide that the green tips are too rigid. Maybe not. I know some groups actually don't allow workers at all because it's a solid rubber head. It doesn't have any, cutouts or holes in it, and so they feel that makes it too dense, and that's their choice. The other thing that could be an issue, though this isn't a new concept, is if somebody were to use the green tips in the chrono test and then switch to the purple, there could be upwards of what we saw, 40-50 FPS difference, and that could be a problem. But that's been true of darts for a long time. Better darts have always gotten better FPS and better performance. And we've seen a significant difference in, the difference in half darts with the emergence of the bamboo darts. Those get a significantly higher FPS than non-bambooed darts. And so that's a concern that's been around for a while, and it's just something that game designers may need to be aware of, and players should be aware of. Because it might not be something malicious. It could just be that you bought the green darts for whatever reason, and you tested your blaster with that, and you built it, and you tuned it, and then you get to an event, and they don't allow the green tip darts, either because of the density, or because they provide the darts like Ragnar Oktoberfest does, and they're only using the lighter darts, and now your blaster doesn't pass muster. Or the other way around, you tune it for the lighter darts, and then you get somewhere that's only using the heavy darts, and suddenly your blaster is significantly underperforming what you're expecting it to. Things to be aware of. I have seen people who tuned their blaster perfectly only to travel to the other side of the country, and the blaster continues to fail because the climate's different, the air pressure's different, the whatever is different, temperature. can cause the barrel to shrink or to expand, and that can affect the performance of your blaster. These are things to keep in mind. One of the beautiful things about this is it does allow you to pick darts that work best with your blaster. It's the same thing with like bows. If a really good archer will have their arrows custom made for their bow and their draw length, because that will make it work better. Same thing here. If you're building a really heavy build, a really powerful build, the heavy darts might work better. If you're going with a light build and you need speed for competitive play, you know, for 5v5 stuff, you might go with the lighter darts because they're faster and they will get to their target before they can get to cover. Little things like that, where this gives you more variety. It gives you the ability to tune your blasters better, but you have to be aware that there are potential downsides to that, where if you're used to one dart and you have to use another, that's going to have a very noticeable effect, and it may be a good effect, it may be a bad effect. It's just something that you have to be prepared for. And a lot of that is just having the ability to retune your blaster. If you're going to an event, bring a lighter spring, just in case. Just in case your blaster is hitting too hot, bring a lighter spring. Or tune it with a spring spacer in it, so that you can simply remove that spring spacer and bring the blaster down a couple of FPS. I recommend at least 10 to 20 FPS of variability below your max, just in case. And in some cases, it might just be a matter of switch ammunition. If you're hitting hot with this and you brought some of these, switch to those. Now, you do have to make sure that you use only these for the entire event, and if you run out, you're not necessarily going to be able to scavenge. These are things that we now have to keep in mind, and it makes the game more interesting. It does add more variety and more customability, but it does also make events a little bit more complicated for people running them, to make sure people aren't using the wrong ammo, or they are using the right ammo, or whatever. But I think it's neat. I think it's neat that just the density of the dart head can make that much of a difference, and that will allow people who are really into tuning their blasters another tool for tuning their blasters. Get a lighter ammo, a heavier ammo. People have made ammo heavier to get better performance for a long time. They've put BBs, they've put hot glue, they've put washers. This is definitely a safer way than putting metal in your darts, and so I appreciate that. So well done, Worker, for giving us more options and more variety. My thanks to Out of Darts for sending these over for me to plink with, and my thanks to you guys for watching.